Yeah, but I'm sure he'll get here sooner than later.
Hey guys, what's up?
Oh, what's up, man?
Hey, dude.
Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. Don't worry about it, man.
Nah, you're lucky. I mean, 8 minutes later, and I would have had to eat your pancakes. Of course, you're paying for them.
Yeah, man, we're just sitting up here talking about a few of our favorite films.
Oh yeah? Which ones?
You know, some of the classics. Goodfellas, Schindler's List, Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction? Hey, that's funny because I was just watching it the other night. In fact, as I was watching it, I couldn't help but notice how well QT wrote those characters, guys.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, that guy seriously knows his stuff. I mean, you wouldn't expect to hear two gangsters talk about foot massages.
Especially when they're about to kill somebody, man. Just so casually, too. Hey, yo, Bebop.
You look real pensive over there, man. What do you think about all this? What do I think about what? You know, about Vincent, about Jules, about the whole coked out Pulp Fiction game, man.
Oh, yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah, man, they're all pretty cool.
That's it? Just pretty cool? Come on, man, I know you can do better than that. You're telling me that Jules, Vincent, Butch, and Mia were all just pretty cool?
Yeah, well, hold your horses, Gunsmoke. I didn't say anything bad. I just said I felt they were pretty cool, that's all.
So, let me get this straight. You thought they were pretty cool, and that's it? Mm-hmm. Come on, man, you love the movie.
Yeah, I love Pulp Fiction.
Exactly. So surely you can do better than just pretty cool.
Well, here's the thing. Everyone's always talking about how cool Pulp Fiction and the characters were, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at it like this, guys. The film came out in 1994, right? And even to this day, people are still quoting, like 50% of it, right?
Yeah.
Right. But do people ever really go into detail about why they like it or the characters so much?
Well, I don't know about other people, but I for one felt that Jules and Vincent were dope as snuff.
Vincent for sure. But Jules, I don't know so much about him.
Really? I always thought he was your favorite character, though, man. I mean, you were trying to grow up that cheap from just like him.
Nah, man, Butch is the coolest character in my opinion.
Let me get this straight now. You like Vincent, and you didn't like Jules?
I didn't say I didn't like Jules. I just said that between Vincent and between Jules, I felt that Vincent was a more relatable character.
Relatable? The only way any of those guys are going to be relatable is if you're coked out, a gangster, or a coked out gangster.
Oh, no snitch, Sherlock. Oh, man, stupid. But yeah, back to my point, though. I just appreciated how regular Vincent came off. Okay, guys, look at it like this. Before we even see Jules and Vincent do anything that's remotely gangster, we're already assuming that these are a couple of tough guys, right?
Yeah.
And they're wearing on well-tailored two-piece suits. They've got serious dispositions in their faces. And pretty soon we learn that they're hitmen from Marcellus Wallace, right?
Right. Hey, guys, it's getting a little too crowded here. I think we should make my hat disappear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm done eating anyway. I mean, what, are we gonna live here now?
Very good point. All right,
Check our food.
Out. Oh, man. It's good to be back home.
Yeah, but it sucks that the diner got crowded.
Yeah, it's all right. You got some good food. Hey, my hat.
Oh, that's where it was.
Oh, shoot. Thought you lost it. That's because you think so lowly of me, Bebop. I'm when the rest of me do.
Anyway, back to what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but no. Jules then tells Vincent a short anecdote about how Tony Rockamora was thrown off of a balcony by Marcellus Wallace's henchmen and left him with a speech impediment, right?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It was funny, but Jules then follows up with the reasoning behind why it happened, right?
Yeah, well, just because it was because he gave me a foot massage. There you go. Yeah, hey, that's a cardinal sin in the world of doped out, coked out gangsters.
Yeah, well, at least according to what Jules said. But then you remember when he starts talking about how if that had been me, they better make sure I was dead because I bust a cap and it's like, at that point, make you question Jules, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Right. Now, the scene immediately following that, when Jules and Vincent go in the room with Brett, Flock of Seagulls, and Samurai Jack, Jules goes into crazy minister mode. Together, he and Vincent, they take out Brett and Seagulls, right?
Right.
Yeah, now at this point, most of us are thinking to ourselves, man, this is one crazy mother snuffer. He doesn't take sniff from anybody. Right?
Right.
Fast forward to the Bonnie situation, right after Vincent kills Marvin. They're in the bathroom, they're washing their hands, and the way that Jules handled Vincent in that scene, it kind of stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty funny if that's what you mean.
Yeah, man, it was hella funny. But at this point, most of us are thinking to ourselves, man, this Jules character, he doesn't take snip from anybody.
Yeah, man. I mean, he did make Vincent seem like a little kid brother at that point.
Right. Okay, but in the scene right after that, when they're dealing with Jimmy in regards to Marvin's corpse in his garage, the way that he gets handled, his character gets deconstructed at that point. Or at least it does for me. You see, guys, the issue with me wasn't that Jules was a poorly written character, because let's face it, that's definitely not the case here. But just rather, a lot of people are always talking about how cool he is, and they're always quoting what he says, but nobody mentions how full of it he was. I mean, sure, he said a lot of cool stuff. He seemed to be someone who Vincent respected, and prior to the scene with Jimmy, I'm thinking, man, this guy doesn't take snip from anybody. But then after Jimmy owns him, his whole character gets deconstructed.
I think I see your point, but you still like Vincent more?
Yeah, especially after that scene with Jimmy, I liked him a lot more.
How come?
Well, because he remained the same. You know, Jules was always projecting and acting hard, but Vincent was just a regular guy, and I like that.
Yeah, but he was pretty irresponsible, though. Jules, he may have been sanctimonious. I will give you that. But he was on top of things. Vincent, he was just a careless douche.
Yeah, I can agree with Astro on that statement. I mean, sure, he's my favorite character, but even I felt he was a bit rough around the edges in some areas.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He was rough around the edges. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't trying to act like he was too cool.
He wasn't around me.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, most men do that when they're around women they're attracted to, so you gotta cut him some slack on that.
I suppose.
But, you know, even with you pointing that out, that's a fair point, he still had what I consider to be one of the greatest monologues in film history. You know, the scene when he's in the bathroom and Mia's about to, you know, it was cool.
Yeah. I guess, but still, to me, he was just a douchebag through and through.
Oh, can you at least give an example?
Oh yeah, I can, most definitely. And it's where we're introduced to Bebop's favorite character, Butch. Just this unbelievably random disdain for somebody who he doesn't even know. I mean, come on, he's sitting up there looking at Butch like they're arch enemies or something, man.
True.
Yeah, and then what? What does he call him right after that? Palooka. He calls him Palooka just for the snuck of it, dude. And what? Then near the ending of the film, when he and Jules are discussing what they're gonna do when they finally get the suitcase back to Marcellus, what? Vincent berates Jules for wanting to turn over a new leaf. I mean, you know, come on, how are you supposed to like that kind of character, man? You just, come on.
Yeah, well, not to mention, he did leave the submachine gun on the counter in Butch's apartment. I don't care how badly you have to take a dump, you're still breaking into someone's home who could potentially be a problem. With that in mind, you sure as hell better make room for that gun.
Thank you, man. That's another point. What kind of dumb imbecile goes and shoots a deuce right when there's a loaded firearm on the counter? I mean, come on, man. You have to be fully immersed in the derp side of the force to leave a submachine gun while you're taking a dump. Come on.
Well, you know, to be fair, that was Marcellus's weapon and not his.
Yeah, dude, okay, but still, alright?
Alright, I see your point, man. But look at it like this, guys. I just felt in the film with a lot of larger-than-life things happening to all of these characters, it was pretty cool to have just a regular average Joe in the thick of it.
Well, what'd you think of Mia and Butch?
I thought Mia was pretty cool, you know? I mean, yeah, sure, she was a druggie, and that nearly cost her and Vincent's life, but once she told her side of the foot massage story, it really made me question Jules.
I don't know, man. She seemed kind of reckless to me. Mia knew that Vincent was on an assignment to make sure that she was well taken care of while Marcellus was out handling some business, but she creates a situation that could have potentially gotten them both killed. I get it, they're not the most morally outstanding characters, but common sense should still reign over everything.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that sentiment there, man. I mean, I like that we're following the event in criminals and all that. It's actually pretty cool, but still, like, me and she could have been a lot more careful what she was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Alright, man. Now I'm curious to hear about what you think about Butch, Bebop.
Alright. Well, Butch to me was the coolest character in Pulp Fiction because he started off being a callous prick. And he only cared about himself. But then he becomes a more empathetic and relatable character as the story progresses. When we're first introduced to him, he's a young boy listening to Captain Coons tell him a story about how his forefathers kept a gold watch up their butts.
Yeah, that was pretty funny too.
Yeah, man, it was pretty funny. But if you pay close enough attention, or watch the film enough times, you'll notice that this seemingly random story about gold watches and white butts had some significance to it. You see, the purpose of it wasn't just to create this really cool dreamlike sequence. No. The purpose really was to set us up for what kind of character Butch really is. When we first meet him, we learn that Butch is an aging boxer who's about to take a dive in his next fight for Marcellus Wallace. Now, based off of his answer to Wallace's proposition, we can all infer that this is someone who doesn't have a problem getting their hands dirty. Now, fast forward to when he and Fabian are at the motel. Fabian forgets to pack his watch and he totally loses it.
Dude, he totally flips out. But then again, I would too if Fabian was my girlfriend.
But he goes into detail about why he's so upset. Now granted, he was angry because she forgot to pack his watch, but he was more so because of the fact that his forefathers went through a lot to preserve his watch.
So basically, the fact that despite being a criminal, he actually valued something, that's the reason why he stood out to you so much, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly why he stood out.
Yeah, man, forget Baywatch. Freaking Butch was almost obsessed with that booty watch, dude.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, well, he killed my man Vincent, so...
So what? The mother's nigga broke into my place of dwelling with the intention to murder me? Or mine? I'd do everything I could to take him out, man. Come on.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. But when Marcellus is being raped by Zed, Butch does what most people probably wouldn't do. And that's actually go back and rescue him. To tell you all the truth, I don't think he did that solely because it was the right thing to do either.
Really? Well, what other reason would he have?
Okay, look at it like this, guys. Everything that Captain Coombs told Butch, it stuck with him because he had a dream about it before he did what he did. He ends up killing a man, he ends up getting seriously injured in a car crash, and before you know it, he's being tied up in a dingy, dusty basement by two lunatics who are about to rape him. If you put all that together, and remember he was doing that for the watch, it'd be an insult to his forefathers if he didn't save Marcellus despite their history. That stood out to me. That really stood out to me, guys, because it not only made Butch seem more dimensional than what we would typically expect out of this kind of character, but it also clarified the purpose of his dream earlier in the film. You see, Captain Coombs goes into great detail about what his forefathers and what he himself went through to get the watch to Butch. So when we see everything that he goes through to get it back, we realize that his actions, in a lot of ways, mirrored those of his forefathers.
Wow. Never thought of it that way. Good snit.
Thanks, man.
Alright, well, what'd you think of the story?
I mean, there really wasn't a story now, was there?
Come again?
Yeah, man, I mean, you really can't say that Pulp Fiction had a plot. I mean, okay, you could argue that it's about Jules and Vincent getting the suitcase back to Marcellus Wallace, but, you know, by the end of the day, we all know that isn't the case here.
Okay, well, what was the case?
Let's see, to me, the point wasn't what the story was about, but rather how the story was told. When it first begins, we're introduced to Ringo and Honey Bunny about to rob the diner, right? Then, shortly after the opening credits, we're introduced to Jules and Vincent discussing trips to Amsterdam and, you know, royales with cheese. At this point, I was sitting there wondering, hey, what happened to those first two characters? You know, what's going to happen to them? Before I could even process my thoughts, we're introduced to Mia, then Butch, then Fabian, and at this point, it becomes obvious that this film isn't in chronological order. Then, by the end of the film, you know, when you put it all together, you realize that the way how it ends is actually how it begins. You see, you can't really argue that Pulp Fiction is about the importance of integrity or the power of friendship or even the significance of the suitcase. By the end of the day, Pulp Fiction is a film without a thesis. That, my friends, is why I say it is not a story.
Wow, dude. Just heard that. That's an interesting point, man. Good job.
Yeah, well, to add to your theory, I also admired how Pulp Fiction challenged the expectations of audiences. I mean, as moviegoers, we expect it to be in chronological order. We don't expect dudes with guns that talk about foot massages. And, you know, presented with a MacGuffin, we at least get to see what it is. Not that there's anything wrong with that. In fact, it becomes the responsibility of the viewer to decide what's inside it. But that's not what we're used to. See, as moviegoers, we love to be challenged, but we expect a hint every now and then. If you ask me, I think that cop's ear from Reservoir Dogs is in that case.
For real?
Really, dude?
Nah, I'm just stuck it around.
Oh, man. Nah, but that's pretty much how I feel about Pulp Fiction, guys. It didn't gain the legendary status that it has just because it was a basic film. It challenged how movies were made, and it also challenged how they were viewed.
I gotta give it to you, man. For a second outing in QT's career, Pulp Fiction, A1.
Hell yeah, man, it was. Are you gonna finish that toast?
This is a Chuki Beat production.